with non-teaching university unions.
And ISIL claims responsibility for Chinese restaurant blast in Kabul.
Now the details. The federal government has said it plans to invest more in the economy, rely more on domestic resources, and reduce its dependence on borrowing. Minister of Finance Wale Edun said this while speaking at the ongoing 56th World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on Tuesday. The minister's remarks come as Nigeria implements fiscal reforms aimed at strengthening its economy. Edun emphasized the need to focus on revenue generation. The minister added that while the country could access international bond markets if necessary, the government's priority is to mobilize its own resources. He outlined the government's efforts to raise tax revenue and strengthen fiscal sustainability amidst mounting global economic pressures. Edun also highlighted strategies aimed at reducing borrowing while expanding revenue generation. The minister also noted that Nigeria remains open to international capital markets if needed, but domestic reforms are central to the government's fiscal policy.
Local manufacturing in Nigeria is facing one of its most difficult periods as producers struggle to stay afloat amidst rising production costs and poor infrastructure. Across the sector, many manufacturers are now caught between maintaining product quality and simply surviving in an economy that continues to exert pressure on local production. Our reporter, Hawa Ibrahim, reports on the delicate balance between quality and survival in Nigeria's manufacturing industry. Our report is presented by Olamikbosi Ishola.
Local manufacturing in Nigeria is at a critical crossroads, with producers increasingly torn between delivering quality products and keeping their businesses alive in a harsh economic environment. Speaking on the development, the chairman, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Southwest Zone, Mr. Sunday Aburiyomo, said the sector is under severe strain, citing weak infrastructure, unstable exchange rates, high production costs, and persistent foreign exchange challenges. Mr. Aburiyomo explained that the growing tension between quality and survival has made it difficult for manufacturers to remain competitive without lowering standards. He therefore called on governments at all levels to harmonize tactics and provide targeted intervention to reduce the burden on local producers.
There's a general mentality, and I want to believe that even you, when they say this is a local made product and this is an imported, you will quickly go for the imported. But I can say with every sense of responsibility that most of the manufactured products in Nigeria, some of them are far better than the imported ones. I won't mention them so that it's not as if I'm advertising my company, but I know there are some furniture, plastic furniture, that when you even see them, you think they are imported, but they are locally made here. So it's a matter of changing the orientation of people, including you and I, that look, why not let us patronize local made products? And then the government has a big role.
Also reacting, finance consultant and investment expert Chief Abiola Ali insisted that although profit is essential for business sustainability, quality must never be compromised. Chief Ali warned that cutting production costs at the expense of quality could pose serious risks to consumers and undermine confidence in Nigerian-made products. He added that modest price adjustments may be a safe alternative than producing standard goods, stressing that quality goes beyond physical appearance but central to sustainability, consumer safety, and long-term business growth.
So for sub-Saharan in Africa, and that's talking about African Continental Free Trade Area. What that means is that because Oyo State government has launched after implementation strategy last year, the strategy for implementing it has started, and what the people need to is so keen it will encourage people to produce more because you now have a market. Why you keep? There are two reasons why you keep. You reduce your production. One is that you are looking, maybe you don't have market to sell the products. That's number one. Number two is that you don't have the wherewithal in terms of finance to continue to produce. But Oyo State government has done something as opened the space, opened the market space throughout Africa for people to produce here to be able to sell their products to all parts of Africa. So meaning that alone encourages producers to continue to produce.
As Nigeria seeks to build a resilient and globally competitive manufacturing sector, stakeholders agree that quality must remain non-negotiable even in the face of economic pressures. They stress that only through supportive government policies, stable exchange rates, and sustained investment can local production thrive and earn lasting consumer trust.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has warned the public to disregard a false article circulating online claiming that the Commission has released the timetable for the 2027 general elections. In a statement on Tuesday via its official channels, INEC describes the information as not authentic and should be disregarded in its entirety, stressing that it has not released any official timetable, schedule of activities, or dates for the 2027 general elections. The Commission urged Nigerians, political parties, civil society groups, and all stakeholders to rely only on verified INEC channels for official updates, including its website. In a similar clarification on January 3, the Commission had also debunked earlier claims. The Chief Press Secretary and Media Advisor to the INEC Chairman, Adedayo Kitola, described the report as false and misleading, noting that the Commission operates strictly within the law.
The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, has urged the federal government to urgently conclude renegotiations with non-teaching university unions. The non-teaching unions include SANU, the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, and the National Association of Academic Technologists, NAAT. SANU President Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim made the call while speaking with newsmen on Tuesday in Abuja. Ibrahim was reacting to the recent signing of a renegotiated agreement between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. He said the ASU agreement was commendable but insufficient to guarantee lasting industrial peace across universities. According to him, total stability requires similar urgency in concluding negotiations with other university-based unions. He warned that selective negotiations could breed mistrust and perceptions of unequal treatment.
The Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the agency, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, has said the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrested no fewer than 77,792 drug offenders and seized about 14,847 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs in the last 5 years. Marwa disclosed this on Tuesday in Abuja during the NDLEA Commands Awards and Commendations Ceremony, where outstanding commands and personnel of the agency were honored for their performance over the past year. According to him, the seizures significantly disrupted local and transnational drug trafficking networks, sending a clear message that Nigeria is no longer a safe haven for illicit drug enterprises. It said the agency also arrested 128 identified drug barons who played central roles in major trafficking operations across the country, noting that the successes were the result of deliberate reforms aimed at repositioning the NDLEA for effective service delivery. Marwa explained that over the period under review, the agency secured 14,225 convictions, strengthening deterrence and reinforcing the consequences of drug-related crimes. The NDLEA boss assured Nigerians that the agency would intensify its operations in the new tenure, vowing that there would be no respite for drug barons, traffickers and couriers, regardless of how long it takes to bring them to justice.
This broadcast of Newscope comes to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. Child hawking remains a common sight across many parts of the country, with young children frequently seen selling goods along busy roads, streets and marketplaces. While some people describe the practice as a means of survival in the face of economic hardship, others strongly condemn it as a violation of children's rights and overall well-being. Our reporter, Oluyole, examines the issue of child hawking and the ongoing debate surrounding it.
The issue of child hawking has continued to generate debate on whether it should be regarded as family assistance or child abuse. Findings reveals that many parents depend on the income generated by their children to meet basic household needs such as food, rent, and school fees. Speaking on the issue, a human rights advocate, Comrade Kehinde Akinyemi, raised serious concern about the dangers associated with child hawking. He highlighted risks such as exposure to road accidents, harassment, exploitation, and prolonged hours under harsh weather conditions. According to him, children involved in hawking often miss school or perform poorly academically, which could limit their future opportunities and perpetuate the cycle of poverty.
In accordance with the child rights law of Oyo State, it is prohibited that a child should be sent on hawking, especially during school hours. Such a parent is liable to have committed an offense under the child rights law, and if such child is apprehended, the parent can be arraigned in court and the parent can be punished for such act. So government should take proactive steps to ensure that the ministry that is in charge of taking care of children create a system by which any child found on the street, especially at school hours, they must be apprehended, and there must be a kind of rehabilitation for them. The parents must be made to see reason why such children should be in school, because of the future of those children, because of the future of the family and the society in general.
Contributing to this debate, the National Coordinator Concerned Parents and Educators Initiative, Mrs. Kemi Oluyole, emphasized that children's safety, education, and development must not be compromised under any circumstance. She called on authorities and relevant organizations to strengthen social support system for vulnerable families, increase public awareness, and enforce existing child protection laws. Mrs. Oluyole also stressed the importance of collaborative efforts involving parents, communities, and government agencies to address the root causes of child hawking and reduce its prevalence.
If you look at the ages of these children that are being pushed out to hawk, you'll be amazed. Some of them are just 5 years old. Some of them are 6 years old. Abba, what is it? What economic gain do you want to have from those children? Okay, what precisely are you putting on their heads? Some of the things that you are, burdening them with. When you calculate the amount in terms of how much, of whatever weight they're putting on their head and they're going about, it doesn't really make sense. You need to weigh it up. It's advantageous when you can protect your child and don't put all the burdens. You brought these children into the world. Find a way of taking care of them, economically, rather than pushing them into the society that is so unsafe out there.
Child hawking presents a complex social challenge that requires balanced and sustainable solutions. Oyeshile Oluyole, PCOS News.
Let's now go over to our sports studio for the latest news updates from the exciting world of sports with Victor Opone.
Thank you for joining us on the sports segment. I am Victor Opone. We start in tennis, where Great Britain's Katie Porter exited the Australian Open after being outclassed by Belinda Bencic in a straight-set first-round loss in Melbourne. The world number 113 Porter was a last-minute entry into the main draw following a withdrawal, which spared her from having to compete in qualifying. Under the tough opening match, she could not initially compete with Swedes' 10th seed Bencic and considered the first set in just 26 minutes without winning a game. Porter offered more external resistance in set 2, breaking her opponent's serve for the first time to level at 4-4, but she could not force a decider. Bencic, a two-time major semi-finalist, completed a 6-love 7-5 win. Still in tennis, Norway's Kasparu says he probably won't be here the next day if his wife goes into labor during the Australian Open. Maria is heavily pregnant with their first child, a daughter. Ruud, the 12th seed, beat Italy's Mattia Bellucci 6-1, 6-2, 6-4 in the first round in Melbourne on Monday. Ruud has travelled with his family for years, and his father, Christian, a former player, is his coach. Ruud will face Spain's Jaume Mona in the second round on Wednesday. And out of football, where Senegal's reserve goalkeeper Yvan Diouf has joked about his unique role of protecting his teammates' tower in Niç's chaotic AFCON final victory on Sunday. The 26-year-old Diouf was an unused substitute during the final in Rabat, but played a key role in Senegal's second continental triumph in 5 years amid extraordinary circumstances. In the torrential conditions, ex-Chelsea goalkeeper Mendy was regularly required to dry his gloves. It was a task that was made much harder by Morocco repeatedly trying to discard the 33-year-old's towel, a tactic they were also seen to deploy in the semi-final against Nigeria. Diouf, though, was on hand to protect his teammates' towel from the ball boys and flag bearers over the course of the 120 minutes. At one point, the Senegal keeper was tackled to the ground by 3 of the ball boys and dragged around on the floor. Video footage also shows him running away from the ball boys. Footage later in the game also appeared to show Morocco captain Achraf Hakimi tossing one of Senegal's towels over an advertising board. Posting to Instagram after the final, Diouf poked fun at the extreme lengths he went to aid Senegal's secure victory as he shared a photo of his winner's medal and the now iconic towel. Diouf's post, which was accompanied by a love-struck emoji and a crying, laughing emoji, said, "There it is, the medal and the towel." I'll wrap up with the breaking news that Aston Villa's Boubacar Kamara is expected to miss the remainder of the season with a knee injury. Further tests over the weekend showed the extent of the injury, for the 26-year-old likely to be out for a significant length of time. And with that, it's a wrap on the sports segment of the news. Thank you for joining.
ISIL has claimed responsibility for an explosion at a Chinese restaurant in Afghanistan's capital that killed at least 7 people. The group said in a statement posted late on Monday that a suicide bomber entered a restaurant in Kabul frequented by Chinese nationals and detonated an explosive vest. Foreign Desk editor Folashade Akitola compiled details and other stories as presented by Bemisola Adebayo.
ISIL's statement, which claimed 25 people were killed or wounded in the blast, including Taliban guards, linked the attack to growing crimes by the Chinese government against Uyghurs and issued a further threat against Chinese nationals in the country. Ministry of Interior spokesperson Mufti Abdul Mateen Kani said on Tuesday that the cause of the explosion at the Chinese noodle restaurant in the commercial Sharinal area was unknown so far and is being investigated. The restaurant serving the Chinese Muslim community was jointly run by a Chinese Muslim man, Abdul Majid, his wife, and an Afghan partner, Abdul Jabbar Mahmoud. Guo Jiangu, a spokesperson for Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said at a news briefing that 5 Chinese nationals were injured, requesting that Afghanistan spare no effort in treating the wounded and take measures to protect the safety of its citizens and investments. China, which scares China, which shares a 76-kilometer border with Afghanistan, has close ties with the Taliban government, and Chinese business visitors have flocked to the country since the group took control of war-torn Afghanistan in 2021. Over now to Syria, where a man owns his own for dozens of ISIS fighters who escaped prison during heavy fighting between the Syrian army and Kurdish-led fighters in north. Government forces moved towards the Syrian Democratic Forces held city of Asaka in the country's east as questions were whether the precarious ceasefire will hold after weeks of fighting. Under severe military pressure, the SDF agreed to withdraw from Raqqa and Deir az-Zor, two Arab-majority governorates. It's controlled for years and the site of Syria's main oil fields. President Ahmad al-Sharaa and U.S. counterpart Donald Trump discussed the fast-moving developments in a phone call, and both agree on the importance of preserving the unity and independence of Syrian territory, as well as the preservation of the rights of Kurdish people within the Syrian state, the presidency says. And finally, over to Israel, where it has begun bulldozing building inside the headquarters of the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees in occupied East Jerusalem, as the far-right government clamps down heavily on humanitarian groups that provide desperately needed aid to Palestinians in Gaza. UNRWA said in a statement on Tuesday that Israeli forces had confiscated staff devices and forced them out of their headquarters in Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. Later on Tuesday, Israeli forces fired tear gas at a Palestinian trade school in a second targeting of a UN facility in occupied East Jerusalem. Local sources reported earlier that an Israeli army group accompanied by bulldozers stormed the UNRWA's compound after sealing out the surrounding streets and intensifying its military presence in the area, and proceeded to demolish structures inside the compound, according to the Palestinian News. Israeli lawmakers and members of government were also present, according to the UNRWA chief, Philippe Lazzarini, who said the attack came in the wake of other steps taken by Israeli authorities to erase the Palestinian refugee identity. Bimso Adebayo, BCOS News.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. The federal government has said it plans to invest more in the economy, rely more on domestic resources, and reduce its dependence on borrowing.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has warned the public to disregard a false article circulating online claiming the Commission has released a timetable for the 2027 general elections.
The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, has urged the federal government to urgently conclude renegotiations with non-teaching university unions.
NICEL has claimed responsibility for an explosion at a Chinese restaurant in Afghanistan's capital that killed at least 7 people.
And that's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Folashade Akintola and delivered by
Jamila Ilegbede. Good evening.
And Josephine Oluwabome. Thanks for listening. Do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 p.m. Good evening.
Best in news, sports and entertainment. We got everything you need and so much more, yeah. 98.5 FM, Oluyole. 98.5 FM. Hear me now. Go down to the #1 station. Ready for quality information. Brighten up your day in so many ways. Tune to 98.5. Radio tí ó la fi wé.